Jeez Louise, that has got to be the maddest game of football I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, there's so much to discuss. I don't know if my camera has enough storage space to fit in all the things I need to talk about today. I mean, just to give a quick summary, that game was absolutely crazy. I've made some notes to discuss. I've got about 25 talking points. It was absolute madness. That was prime Barclays. That was absolutely incredible football. As a neutral, as a Sheffield United fan, that was it was sublime. It was absolutely sublime. Starting off, Spurs with a much, much better team. I thought they played some great football. Obviously, Kulusevski with the first goal, which had quite a big deflection. But then straight after, they were playing some great stuff. There was Son scored a goal, didn't he? Which was offside, but it was just beautiful, intricate passing play. First time, nice as you like. Great stuff from Spurs playing that beautiful Ange ball. But then things really turned around as soon as Udogie made that challenge, which I think there's lots of debate about around. I think that should have been a red just because we've seen those given as reds so many times already this season. I mean, it wasn't dissimilar from Curtis Jones's tackle against Spurs a few weeks ago, which led to him getting sent off. And I think, very much it should have been a red for the reason of consistency, which has been a massive issue in the league recently. But it wasn't, and I suppose the argument is that he got a lot of the ball. But look, this isn't 1980s anymore, right? That challenge, that's a couple millimetres away from being a leg breaker. Similar against Havertz against Newcastle the other day. I mean, this one's worse than the Havertz one, but even that I think should have been a red just because how reckless and dangerous that is. And then following up from that, the momentum of the game shifts and Chelsea get into it a little bit more, and that leads to Raheem Sterling scoring a goal, which is offside. Oh no, it isn't. It's off his hand. I'm losing track of how many goals there's been, but yeah, it hit off his hand and that was disallowed. And then at the same time, we had Romero, who's obviously been watching too much of the David Beckham documentary on Netflix, and he's kicking out at somebody. He probably should have got sent off earlier for that. And then straight after that, Caicedo scores a beautiful goal from the outside of the box, just sort of delicately puts it into the bottom corner. And that's given us offside, which it shouldn't have been because it's gone through Jackson's legs, even though Jackson's like 10 metres away from the keeper and he's a millimetre offside, which isn't what offside is. But anyway, then it turns out that Romero's cut someone in half in the box. I believe it was Enzo Fernandez, where he's gone to clear the ball and he's followed through into the man. And again, people argue, back in my day, that wouldn't be a foul, whatever. But it's not your day anymore, right? That is another potential leg breaker. Very dangerous. He should have got sent off, rightfully sent off. Then it goes to a penalty, right? And then the keeper gets both hands on it, somehow hits the post on the inside, comes back in, and you think, bloody hell. And then at that point, at 1-1, it's going mad. Postecoglou goes and gets a yellow card. I mean, he's meant to be this great guy. Or, mate, it's all a bit disciplining this guy, mate, right? And then, he gets a yellow card. Probably the first one he's got in his whole career with how nice a guy he is, right? Then the 12 minutes at a time, they play I think 13. Crazy. And then in those additional minutes, we saw Van de Ven get injured and it was his hamstring, wasn't it? He pulled up, which I think highlights the issue with that. The high line that Ange wants to play means that constantly Spurs players are having to go back and sprint. Must be doing 10, 15 sprint backs a game. And if you think about, not to get too technical, but hamstring injuries usually occur when people are sprinting, right? And the fact that you're making your players sprint 15, 20 times a game, at top speed to try to catch up with really quick wingers and really quick strikers, you are going to get a lot of hamstring injuries. And let's just hope that Van de Ven isn't too badly hurt, but it looked nasty. Then Maddison was injured, looked like he's done his ankle. And then also 3 players got shown yellow cards because Colwell started fighting with Pape Sarr, I believe. Then Nicholas Jackson gets involved again. Or no, I think Nicholas Jackson did the foul. And lots of people that got booked, and Nicholas Jackson continued to have his record of getting booked in every single game of Premier League football he's played. I mean, when he received that foul, it meant that Nicholas Jackson had received 3 times more yellow cards than goals scored this season, which I think the ratio is a little bit changed now after that second half. And after that, you think, really hectic first 60 minutes of football, but the second half is going to be much quieter. The game's going to die down. You see that a lot where these first games or the first halves of the games are crazy and the second half's quite easy. But that wasn't the case whatsoever. 9 minutes in, I believe, Udogie gets sent off for a silly tackle. I mean, you got to feel for Ange, because at half time we would have been sat there going like, oh look mate, right, we've already gone down to 10 men, right? So at this point, mate, what we got to do, we've got to work hard, we've got to put our bodies on the line for each other, no one else gets sent off. And then, Udogie goes and gets himself sent off, which was shocking. And then Chelsea miss a bunch of sitters. Playing against 9 men, I thought they were abysmal, to be totally honest with you. I mean, they were sort of just pumping balls along. They weren't actually trying to play football. It was quite ugly from Chelsea, I thought. And then eventually Nicholas Jackson goes and scores a goal. Right, and this is just my thoughts. He shouldn't have celebrated that goal, right? Because he'd been terrible all game. And eventually he's got a goal, which he's had like 5 of those exact chances in the game. So he shouldn't, and he's acting like he's just like scored a goal in the World Cup final. It was winding me up a little bit. And then straight after that, Spurs go up the other end, and then Dyer scores an absolute wonder goal of a volley. And he's miles offside. Then it goes to VAR. It turns out it's like a millimetre offside. And then you think, oh my God, they're going to give it. That was crazy. And then not long after that, Mudryk goes and commits like a horror tackle on Vicario, who's come out after having a great game of playing like a sweeper. Pretty much looking at his touch map, he's playing like a centre-back, right? And he's put a foot out, and Mudryk, the speed demon, has like clattered into him. It looked horrible, horrible. I think Mudryk could have walked for that, to be honest. Then in added time, Jackson scores 2 more identical goals to what he already scored, then missed an absolute sitter right at the death. And you think, he is atrocious. And people are going to look at the scoreline and look at the scorers and think, wow, Jackson scored a hat-trick, he's turned things around. Mate, he's bloody awful. I'd say he's probably bottom 5 strikers in the Premier League. He's absolute dog turd. I think he'd be better off as a winger, because he's got the pace, yeah, but he cannot finish to save his life. And if Chelsea play with more clinical striker today, a player who can take his chances would have scored like 6 goals today, not 3 like Jackson. So don't always think that scoring goals can plaster over the fact that he actually didn't have that good a game. But yeah, look, this was an absolutely mad game of football. I mean, there was like 5 checks for red cards, 4 disallowed goals, maybe even, I think, 5 disallowed goals. It was madness. It was madness. And I've got to say, I love football. I love it. Absolutely beautiful game. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.